What's up, dudes? Welcome back to another episode of Rhomas Men's Team. Pretty simple. We are a group of guys helping each other make progress towards each other's goals. If you're new to the channel, awesome and welcome. If you want to help support the channel and join our pro team, head over to rhomasteam.com/pro, where you can contribute to us on a donation basis. We also give you access to exclusive content, mastermind groups, etc., etc. So anyway, hope you enjoy this episode, and we'll see you on the team. All right, we are back in action, Rhomas Men's Team. Pretty simple. We help each other reach our goals. And Mr. Ray, what's going on, bud?
You got me on a good day, Wes. I'm taking action in my life, I'm taking action regarding my divorce. I'm taking action regarding my career. I'm taking action regarding my health. All that, just taking action all around. And I don't do that every day, So feeling good. I'm feeling accountable, and yeah, there are days where I'm not a service to anyone in my community nor to myself. Like, those are my darkest days. There are days when I am of service to others, but not to myself. Those are 50-50s. But today I'm doing both. And so, yeah, look at me, check me out. I'm the man. Here I am.
So please, man, do it. Share the wins. So if you don't mind sharing specifics, what are the actions that you're doing, etc.?
Well, there's art that a client paid for that's in Italy, and so I'm taking the actions to get it over here as quickly, as on time, as predictable as possible. Like, really managing that, getting the export process done, getting it transported, getting the import process done, and then get them having a great experience and on to buying the next piece of art. I got another client who's got a piece of art on a maybe basis, not sure if they want it, so just kind of managing that relationship to make sure I can do everything possible to get them to fall in love with it and get them to really enjoy the thing they have on a maybe capacity. Looking to pick up some work over the holiday, over the holiday season, not holiday related, but like there's a legal project going on, some kind of class action that they need kind of people with brains to staff that thing, and so I'm pursuing that. In terms of divorce, getting my lawyer kind of like stepping out of avoidance and getting like lawyering up and getting that thing, not bringing the fight to her, but just kind of like getting it moving, and so that I can just get on with the next chapter of my life rather than, because like we can sometimes we can just stay in limbo for a long time, if we're fat or we're lazy or we're broke or we're in a relationship that doesn't work. Sometimes avoidance is the most comfortable place to be. And so I'm just kind of like trying to force myself out of that for today. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, I mean, my vote would almost be change that word sometimes to almost always.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I think we all have experience with, as Jordan Peterson calls, willful blindness.
Yeah. And so the scorecard, like it's just a life of action, right? The scorecard is a list of 10 actions we do, right? Drink water, meditate, journal, review our goals, reach out to a brother or sister who needs it or deserves it. Physical activity, eating healthy, like these are all actions. And so I guess, the opposite of willful blindness in a way is action, right? Not just kind of awareness and acceptance, but also action.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons I love the All In podcast and similar types of podcasts is that it is, as we've talked about, Ray, it is philosophy second. It's being a practitioner first, and then you can take a time out or come out after the game and have some post-game discussion. But the philosophy absent the action, in my opinion, is like sort of the beginning of delusion. And this sounds obvious when you bring it up in conversation, but the amount of times where you have somebody commenting on something that they actually just haven't even done, to any meaningful degree. Um, and
Yeah,
then,
like war, for example. I'll
yeah,
tell you,
yeah,
if I was over there in Ukraine, that thing would be done in 2 weeks.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah. I'm re-listening to Jordan Peterson's Maps of Meaning, and watching it. So he put his entire semester up there for free on YouTube. And
What are you getting
I,
out of it?
oh man, I mean,
Well,
just
explain the curriculum. Like this is not his kind of Old Testament analysis, right?
now. Now he's been going down like the political and religious road as of late, and that's not my personal cup of tea. Like it just but I like his old stuff. Like really, really love it. So Maps of Meaning was, I believe, his original work, and it was basically trying to aggregate, whether it be from religious context or mythology, and then his intersection of psychology and, from my understanding, like a limited understanding of like neuroscience, um, sort of meshing all three of those things together. And he did it in a brilliant way. And the crazy thing about today's world is that you can get that for free. I mean, he used to teach this at Harvard. You can get it for free, literally.
The
The
only
entire
barrier is your willingness,
yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. So I have one of my notes here, just from yesterday, and I just started it yesterday. So he said, in the opening section, the body doesn't like uncertainty, and uncertainty can even be in your past, which is kind of interesting to think about, right? If you haven't defined your past, there's likely uncertainty sitting there. This creates high levels of stress and cortisol, and this can be massively fatiguing. So his self-authoring program, et cetera, like has you go into your past and really define it. Now, what I would add to it, and this is like some stuff I learned from Tony Robbins, um, which was, or I guess from Landmark. Landmark would be more accurate to find there. Um, Going back into your past, and you can then tag the meaning to that particular experience.
Or like
Versus,
you mean like relabel?
exactly, 100%.
Yeah.
And I can't stress enough how empowering that can actually be. So I'm piecing this together now, but Jordan Peterson often talks about memory not being what we think memory is. We think memory is supposed to be an accurate play-by-play reading of what actually happened. And apparently this
Right.
is not true. Memory is supposed to serve this vague, kind of like cloudy understanding of roughly, hey, don't go over there because you got hurt. Go over here because there's berries. It was not meant to be crazy precise, which is often why, if you see in studies of where ask people to like recount the same story they told a couple years ago about a significant event, the facts will change quite significantly. So it's just very fascinating. So how many things do we have that are uncertain from our past that we have not defined because we have not sat down and start to write it out and understand what actually happened?
Yeah, I'm on a similar journey. Like, so as you know, and all of our Swifties out there, that's what I'm going to call. I don't know if that's taken. I'm going to call our fans Swifties, or we can call them believers, or little monsters. That's Lady Gaga's fans. Beautiful monsters, maybe. Anyway, we could also damaged goods. So we're going to call our fans damaged goods. Okay, so all the damaged goods out there. Um, the landfill, is that too harsh? Okay. All of our fans out there know I'm in 12-step recovery from drugs and alcohol. I haven't touched either in years, but it's an important part of my mental exercise, right? My mental gym routine. And tonight, one of my colleagues in recovery and I are going to go to an ACA meeting, which is Adult Children of Alcoholics, right? So
Mm.
again, I'm not on the verge of drinking myself to death or losing my family or losing my job or ending up in the gutter. But what I'm trying to do is better understand and relabel and like unshackle myself from that past
Mm.
you're talking about. So for example, you grew up in poverty, you could choose to blame all of your misfortune on that, or I guess if you wanted to relabel that, that could be the basic training, the CrossFit course you had to do to get as fit as you are today, right?
Right.
And so for me, I'm curious about this ACA program, Adult Children of Alcoholics, to understand how I was programmed from a young age based on my upbringing. And again, like you said, keep what I want from them there and relabel and give away the rest. For example, like having an alcoholic or two parenting your house, you never know what kind of person you're gonna get when you walk in the door home from school, right? Are they angry? Are they depressed? Are they drunk? Are they sober? Um, and uh, and kids like me in that position will often play the clown or the entertainer in order to keep the peace and keep the parent from flying off the handle. So, am I damaged goods? Am I just a people pleaser? Maybe, but also, am I resilient? And are those kind of people reading skills, like basically sales skills that I was learned and got my 10,000 hours by the time I was 10 years old, right? So I'm thinking about like and I really said that like a Canadian. I'm thinking about growing up in that chaotic environment and like the maturation process I want to undergo, even in my old age, where I give up the baggage of that and kind of like hold on and celebrate to the strengths I had to learn.
Yeah, I mean, Ray, what do you think about actually sitting down and writing out those things? Because Jordan
I
Peterson
think
talked about that writing is thinking.
no, I know that that's going to be a component because it's based on the 12 steps. It's like a 12. So the 12 steps, my understanding is the 12 steps were started by Alcoholics Anonymous, right, to help people quit drinking and stay quit. They are now used for, they are adapted to people with drug addiction, to people with sex addiction, to people who are like codependents.
Mm.
And writing is a big component of uh, what's how you uh, writing is a big component of the 12 steps to freedom from whatever this kind of disease or whatever has you by the throat, right? So, for example, in the fourth step, we make a fearless moral inventory of what we did wrong. So I'm currently working on my fourth step where there's lots of writing involved in like either my bad behavior in the past or and I don't mind holding this up because nobody can read my handwriting anyway. Either your bad behavior in the past or people that you perceive harmed you and resent you as a result. And so all these kind of little tumors of resentment hanging on your head like some kind of satanic Christmas tree, right? The writing part is an essential part of the forgiving them and or letting it go. Like forgiving them, owning your part in of the blame or not, and letting it go and being unshackled from it, like you're talking about, like um, and so I think and I think Jordan actually has struggled with alcohol addiction early in his life and more recently legally prescribed painkillers. So
Yep.
I wouldn't be surprised if the 12 steps, which are based on religion, are maybe part of that kind of um, that mashup of religion, uh, mythology, psychology, kind of like an updated or his version of Joseph Campbell's kind of hero's quest, right? Or like or his kind of take on that. So I'm definitely down for writing, and I'm already doing that as part of the 12 steps of alcohol and drug recovery. And I'm sure there will be I know for certain there is a component with the adult children of alcoholics that I'm going to be going to tonight.
Yeah, I think it's really so for those guys who are listening. I haven't done this in a while, but as Ray and I are talking through it, I'm now reinvigorated and motivated to do it, which is Jordan talks about writing out. He said there's nothing magical about writing except for the fact that it puts your writing is thinking because you're taking your thoughts from your mind you're putting them onto paper, and then you can see where the inconsistencies are. You can see where the gaps are. You can see where the lack of sequence or logic lies. And man, that is powerful. And I would add to it, something that I've done that's been extremely helpful is actually writing into Excel. I know it's going to sound weird, but then you can move the cells around. Do you know what I mean? So you can almost write out lines, and that becomes a piece of the jigsaw puzzle. And then if you're even a basic level user of Excel, you can then take that line and then move it, right? Do you know? And as weird as it sounds, like it might sound similar to copy and paste, but it's not. It almost allows you to move around your thoughts in a way, and you're like, oh, okay, now it fits. Same thing with flow charting. Flow charting of like, okay, hey Ray, you and I keep on getting into this disagreement. Let's actually flow chart it out. So we were fine. We were eating lunch at our favorite spot, and then you said this about Donald Trump, and then I felt this way. So here were the words, here was the feeling, and then we made a choice, right? We could either go this way or this way. I chose to take us this way. Do you know what I mean? So you can see the play by play. It's like zooming in. So I think all these are different versions of writing out our thoughts and being able to like go back in time and course correct a bit.
Yeah, Wes, I was about to roast you saying like that's cute, but nobody in the huddle is going to like use Excel spreadsheet to write this stuff out. So like don't get your hopes up. But then again, and then I just look down at my notes, and does that look an awful lot like an Excel spreadsheet? Like that's I'm actually doing here I am hoping to get an easy roast in, but that's exactly what I'm doing. And it it removes the burden of having to write something that's epic and Oscar worthy, you know. And it's like those cells, columns and rows, breaks it down into kind of like chunks that make it a lot less daunting of a um, uh, exercise than having to write your life story.
Well, let's think about this, right? Oftentimes, maybe almost always, let's say, Ray, if you're upset with me about something, very rarely is it about one thing, right? It's usually a hybrid of things. And let's call it three or four things. Well, if you don't articulate that alone to me, it's going to be really hard for me to help mend the relationship or solve the problem. But if you've done the legwork up front of saying, okay, here are the five things that I'm dealing with right now in the context of our relationship. Here's the pie, and here's the slices that are weighted appropriately, right? Wes, it's these five things, and you know what, Wes? As I was writing this out in Excel and weighting these things, I discovered that two out of those five are on me, and they represent 45% of the pie. Well, we're now dealing with way less of an overall circumstance versus you dump the whole pie on me, right? Really hard for me to bear that. Then similarly, let's say again we're going with the Excel model because we now have our data table and you've written out your four or five, grievances with the relationship. We've discovered that two of them are you related, the rest you perceive are me related. But then we discover that of the me related things, one of them accounts for the bulk of my side. Well, it's like, hey Wes, maybe we could just work on that one thing, and that one thing moves the needle on everything else. Versus what do we do in relationships, right? Oftentimes it's like you always do this and you never do this, and it's all you. And I'm just going to keep on giving you vague definitions and terminology and how I feel, and don't you dare invalidate my feelings. And no, do not ask for a prescription of what I want, because I don't even know what I want, but I'm not willing to say that out loud. In fact, if you ask me what I want, I'm going to keep on bobbing and weaving, just giving you different versions of I don't really know because I have not done my legwork in Excel. Hey dudes, sorry for the interruption here. Just wanted to let you know, if you want to join our pro team, go to romasteam.com/pro. You can help support the channel. You will also get access to exclusive content, masterminds, one-on-one sessions, etc. All right, back to the episode.
Dude, like communication, like, which has two parts, right? Being able to listen well and being able to articulate well. I mean, and it has way more parts than that, but are so important. Like even just listening to you, I went off into an imaginary fight with somebody, where like the one thing on the surface that comes up uh, turns into this kind of like fireworks warehouse explosion of just all these different
Yep.
things, right? Or like, I don't know if you've ever been in an argument with someone, and as you're exiting the argument, they add two or three more things that also bother them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is a, like, not attachment style, but it's a communication style, which, um, it just doesn't work for me. Like, if we're trying to negotiate one uh, item or piece of behavior that's bothering us, and then those extra grenades at the end, like they don't encourage um, a peaceful resolution,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I 100% agree. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about that communication style. Like, let's pick maybe something neutral, but also hugely incendiary. We often go back to how we um, load the dishwasher in a
Hmm.
couple, right? And so invariably, the guys in the huddle here will not like how their romantic partner or roommate loads the dishwasher. It's a terribly subjective thing. Like, do you load it like you're assembling a rocket ship, or do you load it for maximum, like it's the last helicopter out of Saigon, and just like pack as much stuff in there as you can, right? I mean, I'm not saying either's right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just saying you put too many people on that helicopter and it's going to crash into the jungle. Okay, but let's assume, just because our time is limited, that both ways of packing of loading the dishwasher are allowed. Um, if you're living with this person, you're sharing a bathroom with them, like you're sharing a car with them. You have a life together, like a complex and beautiful and delicious and many-faceted life with them. Um, like you said, the dishwasher is likely just the thing that pushes you over the edge.
Mm. Right.
So, so how do we talk about the Wes? Okay, so Wes, I'm the husband, you're the wife. I don't like the way you load the dishwasher. How do we talk about the dishwasher in a way that keeps the narrow conversation of resolving the dishwasher conflict? How do we do that? But then also, how do we want to address all that other stuff? Or how, if I bring up the way you drive, or the way you throw up into a napkin in the middle of us podcasting or whatever, like how do you bring those things up? How do you deal with those things as they come up?
Yeah. Well, my best guess would be um, having the proper frame first and foremost. Having the proper frame of, hey, Ray, you and I have signed up for a multi-decade game. So
We
are we
love
in
each
agreement?
other. We don't want to be with anybody else,
Yeah, well, no,
right?
knowing that it's now the work part, that we've signed up for a very long duration game, and we're going to be
Mm-hmm.
interacting on a daily basis together. So can we agree that what might seem like spilt milk is actually maybe the opposite,
Right.
right? Like, hey Ray, I don't know, but I don't think grandiose gestures, while in the Notebook, that's great that Ryan Gosling built a house for, right, whatever her name was in the Notebook.
Rachel
But
McAdams, Canadian
yes, there you
actress,
go.
national treasure. Anyway, go ahead.
There you go.
You always do
So,
this. You always do this. You always
so,
minimize and erase my people.
so, 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 um, do we have that agreement up front that it's like, hey, maybe we should address the day to day things? But if we just sweep it
Ah,
under, it's like, oh, right, no, that you're just nickel and diming me. It's like, no, the dishwasher is a daily thing. So I think that's the frame to start with from the beginning. How can we, no different than what Jordan Peterson says about making your bed? It might seem insignificant on the surface, but the reality is, right, it represents a whole lot more. So I think if we get on the same page there, then honestly, I think it's an agreement. Okay, I think what happens in most families and businesses, friendships, etc., is these things are just unarticulated and implied you shoulds. You should know, Ray, how to how to put the dishes in the dishwasher. Why don't you know? Right? And that's where it starts to get into like name calling, right? Implying one's ignorance, etc. Versus like, okay, great. We already defined that we're going to be together for decades. And we've already agreed that we're going to put things on the table that we can identify that need to be like need to fix is probably a strong word, but where we need to have to be on
Work
the same
together.
page. What did you say?
We need to work together on this.
Yeah. So, okay, let's actually talk about it. I think honestly, I think you probably leapfrog most couples at that point because they just never talk about things until it's like crazy at a boiling point, and now it's just a shouting
OJ,
match.
you're in OJ territory.
Yeah, yeah, right. So versus like, okay, great. Like, let's actually talk about this. Let's agree. Now, I personally believe in writing agreements down that are important. Now, I obviously know that the flip side of this coin is the you could be looked at as sterile or academic or too clinical, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
I've
It's
got a
like,
worse. I've got a worse accusation, Wes.
yeah,
You only want me to sign this agreement so you have something to throw me out with. Do you know what I mean? You
mm,
have a card to play when it's time to throw me out, or
right.
you're only going to use it against me. So while I agree with you that we should get on the same page about um, addressing this minor yet daily source of friction, right? And address it so that it is something daily that we work together on rather than just a daily source of friction. I feel like um, I'm signing something I'm signing like a kind of like a resignation letter in advance that you can like throw on the table whenever you want.
Mm.
So why do I need an agreement with you? If we're married, if we're in love, and there's like a foundation of trust and love between us that that is strong, why do I have to sign this agreement with you?
Yeah, well, I think there's a few things you can do to take the bite off. Number one, you don't ask the person to sign them, right? So and it involves reciprocity. So if you've been with somebody for long enough, or even just intentional enough, you
We've
can
been
understand.
together what, 4 years, Wes?
Yeah, but no, 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
Okay,
So one of the things you might have to do is like, hey,
I know.
can we test this out? Let's test 2 weeks of this, right? Just to see how it feels. And
Time out, Wes. Are you talking about you and me have been together 5 years, or you and Nicole have been together 5 years?
me and Nicole, were you asking
Yeah,
me and you?
because yeah, because like,
Oh, my
of
bad, my bad, my
course,
bad.
of
Yeah,
course, I
so
was
so
asking.
four
We're
years.
talking about us, Wes.
Yeah, so 4 years. So
Okay, okay, we can start
so
again. I
hey
like how you
Ray,
said I don't have to sign the agreement.
correct.
It's not a court produced legal exhibit.
Yeah,
It's more of okay. And so, but in that case, Wes, is it like your 10 commandments of dishwashing that you're putting in front of me? Or can we work together on what the agreement says?
exactly. So that's what I'm saying. It requires some sort of like diplomatic ability, but it's like this is not for me. It's not for you. It's for the relationship, right? So what
Uh-huh.
do we agree on this? Um, and that's where the negotiation lies, and that's where like the actual working through as partners lies. And you're probably going to have to give some and take some a little bit. So it's like, okay. And I personally believe that it's like minimum specific dose. Okay, hey Ray, probably doesn't make sense to have an agreement of like, well, the dishes need to be facing the southeast corner of the
Obvi-
dishwasher,
Always.
right? Like,
Yeah, I
so
got you.
it's like only to a level of specificity that's not going to trigger you. And also, a lot of these things are objective. Hey, when you pack the
Blaze
dishwasher,
up. Yeah, yeah.
when you pack,
No. I don't know. Wes, we're getting into the male brain female thing.
yeah, yeah,
Like when you pack the dishwasher, even an amoeba knows that the water can't get around and clean all the plates. Like, watch it, buddy. Okay.
yeah, yeah. So, and that's where, Ray, I think what you're pointing out is when you actually, I don't want to say force a conversation, but when you put on the table an adult level leadership conversation, it's important for both parties to act as leaders. And
Mm-hmm.
if one cannot handle objective truth, that's a problem, right? Like, oh, right, don't throw your facts about physics to me. Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, so that's a trump card. Like that's in what they teach in Landmark. That's called a trump card, right? Like where you start to skirt around logic and you just like raise your voice or you say something, you intimidate or whatever it is, and it doesn't allow you to sort of pierce the veil of whatever membrane's been holding you back from progress. And in my opinion, that's bully ball, right? It's either bully ball or it's laziness or it's not caring enough or whatever that is. But it does not allow for progress. And I think that has to come back to a core value. Like, hey, are we in this to make progress, to lead our business, to lead our family, to lead whatever it is, or not? And I think that it requires leadership on both sides.
Well, we're coming up against the half hour, which is our which in framing the conversation, Wes, we agreed that on account of it being a holiday, we're going to keep it half an hour so we can honor the troops for the other half. I love Wes how you can go so deep, but you can also have some real practical takeaways. And so for those of us, let's call it 90% of us, where the when our wives and girlfriends and romantic partners and roommates load the dishwasher, it's like stepping on a piece of Lego. Framing the conversation so that we can get on the same page and agree that this is something that we can work on together. Framing the conversation and then having an agreement where it's not a list of demands or a ransom note, but rather an agreement where both parties can come together and say, what does this look like when we both do it that benefits our relationship?
And I'll add one more thing if that's okay. Inevitably, the end of that flow chart is going to be you or the other person violates, air quotes, violates what was agreed upon. My personal vote there is to not articulate critique until it happens. Let's pick a number for number's sake, 4 times. Then it's warranted of like, hey, this is now a pattern. It's not just, oh, you were in a rush, right, et cetera. It's like, okay, like there's something off. How can we fix it together? I am not a believer in the very first time Ray doesn't do something that we agreed on because he's a human and I'm a human too. I don't want that same level of scrutiny. I need the ability to be able to work through this. So it's like once, twice, 3 times, now 4 times we might have to have a discussion because there's something off in the communication or something off in the action level of the other party.
Right. So let's think about this, guys, in all areas of life. Framing and then agreement. Honey, you keep crashing the car. Can we agree that this is important? Have an agreement that you guys drive safe and responsibly. And wait till she crashes the car another 4 times before you bring it up. Thank you, Wes. Have a great week.
All
I
right,
hope you
buddy.
take lots of action in your life. And let's continue the conversation on Friday. Love you,
All
man.
right, pal. Love you, buddy. I'll talk to you soon. Later.